Another devastating, disappointing loss to a backup quarterback in New Orleans. It seems like the Bucs can never, ever, ever defeat a backup quarterback. It just doesn't make any sense. I know we were in their house. I know New Orleans is a very intimidating and tough place to play. But come on, you can't give up that performance to their offense and then have the performance that we had all around on like all phases of the game. It just doesn't make any sense. But yeah, before I get started, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. Stay tuned. I post weekly Buccaneers reaction videos. So definitely subscribe and stay tuned for all the future ones. So now let me kind of get into my breakdown. Going into the winners and losers of the game, I only have one winner. It really shouldn't be a winner just because the team overall played really badly. But the winner is, and has been really for most of the season, Chris Godwin. 7 catches, 125 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like, I mean, what else can we say about him? He's been the most consistent player on offense throughout the whole season. I get it. The last touchdown was in garbage time with like 13 seconds left, and he got a couple catches there. But hey, he's been having consecutive 100-yard games, multi-touchdown games. He should probably be leading the league. He was tied with Evans for 4 touchdowns going into this week, and that was tied for the league. Now he has 6, so maybe he's going to lead the league with that. But there's not really much excitement around it because, again, garbage time, he scored that touchdown. The game was over way before that. So, yeah, let me go into the losers because there's a lot of losers in this game. The first loser of the game is the entire defense. When you give up over 300 yards and 4 touchdowns to Teddy Bridgewater, you give up 180 yards and 2 touchdowns to Michael Thomas, then you really have a problem. I get it. We held Alvin Kamara to like under 80 yards rushing. Still pretty good, but I mean, they didn't really need to rush the way they were throwing the ball. You had Teddy Bridgewater out there looking just like Drew Brees. There was a point in the game after we picked him off that he had completed, I think, like 12 or 13 straight passes. He probably finished the game with over 90% completion rate. That is unacceptable on the defense. The defensive line wasn't doing much. Shaq Barrett was pretty much invisible in this game. Teddy Bridgewater, there was a few times he could have gotten sacked, and he kind of ran out and dodged the sack and would throw the ball away. Our secondary wasn't covering long enough for our defensive line to get sacks or get pressure. So overall, just a very bad game all around from the secondary. A lot of players were wide open on a bunch of those touchdowns. There was the one to their tight end, Cook, I think or Hill, maybe his name is. I think it was Hill or Cook, I don't know. But he was wide open in the end zone. Just for some reason, the Bucs for the last few years have been unable to defend tight ends. For some reason, tight ends always blow out against us. Same thing with Michael Thomas. For some reason, he's the one receiver that we can never cover. Him and Julio Jones, actually. So yeah, very bad performance from the secondary. We need to figure out what we're going to do with the corner situation because our corners are not cutting it. Hargrave is getting beat. All of them are getting beat. Our run defense is good because our D-line is pretty big. Getting pressure has been 50-50. We're not one of the best pressure teams. And then, you know, if Shaq Barrett's not getting it going, then the rest of the defensive line is non-existent. So very bad and unacceptable play from the defensive line. And if we're not getting pressure without the blitz, we can't cover. We keep blitzing, keeps exposing our secondary because they can't cover long enough for the sack to get there. It's just a very bad combination on defense. Second loser of the game is the O-line. I don't understand how we go from playing the Rams, who have one of the better O-line or better D-lines, and protecting Jameis really, really well, and then flipping it to this game and just Jameis was rushed on like every throw. He was sacked 6 times. There was that one drive in the fourth quarter where he was sacked 3 times in that drive in like a span of 5 plays. It just doesn't make sense. DeMar Dotson is a shell of himself. He needs to go. I know they took him out, and sorry, there's sirens in the background, but I know we took DeMar Dotson out and we put his backup in, who was playing worse than him. Our offensive line is really old. The left side seems okay, solid, but the right side needs improvements. I don't even remember a play where Jameis had time. If he's not getting the ball out in under 2 seconds, he was rushed, he was running, getting hit. He had a very, it caused him not have the best game, which I'll get into later. But our O-line, something has to be done. We can't have these inconsistent, one great game, one bad game, one great game, one bad game. If we want to be able to win the division or at least, you know, push for a wild card spot, we have to be able to string together a couple of wins. We can't have this alternating win-loss kind of thing going on. So very bad performance, probably the worst performance of the year for our offensive line. Now the third loser of the game is the offense as a whole. Jameis was 15 of 27 for like 200 yards and 2 touchdowns. Again, a lot of those yards came in that, you know, garbage time, last drive of the game, and under a minute left. So I don't really count that. Evans had no catches the first time in 65 games, I think I heard the commentator saying. I think he had a consecutive catch literally in 65 games, which was probably since his rookie season. It probably should be if I'm doing a quick math right. But just overall bad performance by the offense. The running game couldn't get going. I know we rushed 94 yards total, but that wasn't really that effective. Jameis didn't look the best. In the first quarter, he was sailing some balls too high. He looked a little bit shaky. I think Leftwich in this game was trying to call too many long developing plays, and just our O-line couldn't hold up. Because a lot of the plays when you watch, the receivers were going deep. He didn't have a lot of safety valves to toss to, and when he did, he was hit and he was rushed, and it was just a very bad combination overall from the offense. The play calling was bad. The execution was bad. I don't blame all of this on Jameis because there's only so much you can do when you're literally running for your life on every play, but there were some decisions he could have made better. I think just overall a very bad performance. Even if the defense can shut out Mike Evans completely, that should open up the door for other receivers on the team and other pass catchers. Unfortunately, for some reason, we can never get our tight ends involved. OJ Howard didn't have any catches till that last drive in the fourth quarter, that really garbage time drive, and we have one of the most talented tight ends in the league, and I don't know why we don't call plays for him, some more screen passes to him, some more post routes, middle of the field, because the middle of the field was pretty open. If you saw the catches that Chris Godwin was making, they were all in the middle of the field, and it just doesn't make sense. We have probably as a whole, between Evans, Bray, OJ, and Chris Godwin, probably the top 4, unit pass catchers, probably top 3 in the entire league. So having that and just not utilizing them is a big disservice to fans. So I'm not going to be too mad at Byron Leftwich for that. It's still his first year actually play calling under Arians. So I think he's going to learn with time. Next week we go to London against the Panthers. They've been hot. Their backup quarterback, they've been winning games. As far as the time of this recording, they were winning their game. So I'm not sure what's going on with that. If they win this, they're ahead of us in the division. We'll be 2-3 and they'll be 3-2. I think we can beat them. They're a team that we play really well. However, we've never lucked out in London, so I don't know. But yeah, overall, a very bad performance. Probably the worst performance of the season. I know the Giants loss sticks out, but that Giants loss, we played an amazing first half and a really bad second half. But this game specifically, we had the entire 60 minutes was just bad. There was no way. We just did not show that we can stop their backup quarterback. We did not show that we can consistently move the ball down the field. We couldn't block. We couldn't create a pass rush, all of that. So just overall really, really bad. Special teams was all right. I mean, nothing more to say about that. They didn't hurt us in the special teams game. They didn't do anything magnificent either. So yeah, that's it for my reaction. Very somber mood. I'm not as crushed as the Giants game, but it was just a really disgusting performance overall. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. Once again, if you are new here, make sure you click the subscribe button down below. Stay tuned, future reactions coming out. So yeah, hopefully Bucs Nation, we can turn this around and go 3-3 after next week, because I think we have a bye after this Carolina game. If we can go 3-3 into the bye, I'd feel pretty okay with ourselves, because we have a bunch of home games coming up in the second half of the season. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and it's a Bucs life as always, and hopefully we can turn this ship around and be consistent. I am out.
Our offense tough, our defense rough. Go Bucs, go Bucs. Ain't no other team stopping us. Go Bucs, go Bucs.